Well, welcome to another Faith Horizons podcast. Today I'm here with David and Rebecca McCorn from Salt and Light, and I've been tracking them down for a while, trying to get an interview with them but they're just on the move. So
he put his bloodhound on the job. I'm the bloodhound of the outfit. So
anyway, I did, and I'm like, all right, anyway. So I feel privileged. What I was trying to say is I feel privileged to be able to sit across from them because they've got so many other things that, they could be doing and need to be doing. And just the ministry that God has brought forth from them since 2021 is just absolutely insane. We're going to hear that story. So anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
So, all right. Well, just tell us a little bit of the backstory. We're talking about Salt and Light here, which is a ministry in Kansas City. And it's just, tell us a little bit about the birthing story of it and, where did this all start?
Okay, well, it started, 2020, as one of the pastors at Koinonia Bible Church. I took a sabbatical, and out of that sabbatical, the Lord really worked on my heart with prayer and just the things that I had been lacking in my spiritual life. So out of that, we formed the church that the Lord was moving us on in ministry, and then we launched just before that as Salt and Light.
You said that during that time you said you took a sabbatical, and then it said you said this is kind of in the before program. I do all these little pre-interviews because I try to capture. You said something about you were a pastor.
Oh, about your prayer life.
Yeah, but your prayer life had not been. You just kind of were just down on your prayer life.
Yeah, I took the sabbatical because I felt complacent and apathetic to ministry. And as pastors, we would meet and we'd have a business meeting and we'd have a personal, spiritual, like a check your health kind of thing meeting. So we would separate them. And during that time, it was like, well, who needs to take some time? Who needs to get away? And I was like, me, I've got to, I'm really just not feeling very effective. And so then I took that 6 months. Yeah. And during that 6 months, the Lord just opened my heart, showed me that I had no intimacy with Him. I had no prayer life. It's like I'm trying to run and do things on my own. And so the big thing that honestly that came out of that prayer life was the first was there were three things in there. It's like bear witness for me, love my people. I'm not getting these in order.
So are you talking about you guys' core values?
Yeah,
right?
no.
I'm
talking about out of the prayer. It said, be obedient in your faith.
Yeah.
So be obedient in your faith, bear witness for me, and love my people. And that just kept ringing in that prayer time. It wasn't, I wanted lightning and all these things to happen, to really shake the ground and stuff like that. But the Lord was simple. He was just
kind of like the Old Testament prophet who told the guy to go wash in the river.
Right.
And he said, well, I thought he was going to wave his hand and do some fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And his servant said, so he asked you to do something simple and you're mad?
Yeah. So
when he came to me with that, I was like, wait a minute, you've spent 6 hours a night praying, and that's all you've got? I was kind of like, I expected a lot deeper.
And that prayer
but then I was
life,
like, wow, that is deeper.
To back up real quick, though, what happened was early in that sabbatical, a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, we're doing prayer. Come to this prayer group. It'll change your life. I was like, okay. And everything was online because of COVID. And what happened was I went and spent, it was 3 hours of prayer. I thought it was just locally, but it was just all over the world, people praying all over the world. Yeah. And this time was interesting because most of it was not praying, asking for things. It was just praying intimacy with God. And so that just blew me away. And so after that, I was like, wow, I was like, hey, I don't know if I'll do this all the time, but it ignited something in me to start my own prayer time. Wow. And so I did, and I invited others, and I started 3 hours of prayer, like 2 nights a week or two, somewhere in there. And that's where it began to change my heart. Mm-hmm. And in that is what was kind of those values were birthed out of that. And then the things that began to happen was, we didn't have intimacy in our marriage, a prayer life. And so then she had come and invited her in. And so we started praying together like that. And then out of that, that's where these things began to stir. It was God working, but he moved us into, hey, this is what I have for you.
That's good.
Yeah. And we went to, during that time, a friend of mine was starting a church. He was planning a church, and they called it the illegal church because COVID said you can't open your church or whatever. He said, he said, I'm doing this. Let's go do it. So, cause I said, Lord, well, what does this really look like? What does it look like? And he said, well, here, I'll show you. There are people all over doing it. So during that time of COVID, when that was happening, people were closing churches and everything else. There was this church and other people doing outreach. And that's what kind of encouraged her and ignited in both of us. So that's when we sat down and said, well, Lord, the Lord said, hey, I'm like ready to go back and do this at my church. He's like, what if this is not it? What if I have something else for you? Mm. And that's when we sat down, did the vision casting, put that together.
So at this time that you were just talking about, was that when you met up with a friend in Leavenworth Park? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yeah. So Leavenworth was where he was doing the church in the park that he just mentioned.
Yeah.
And for me, he had talked about pastoring, but I was always like, I do not want to be a pastor's wife. And it wasn't for him. I knew, because I'm kind of like a go-getter, and I felt like I would
I was in seminary when she said that.
And so, I had kind of like squashed his whole idea of being a pastor. And then when he was praying, and then when we went up to help that friend, we had a situation of a 24-year-old, 23-year-old. She was 23 because she was our daughter's age at the time. Came to the park, and she had 4 kids and was pregnant with her 5th and was going to have an abortion. She was on her way to a liquor store and was going to abort the baby the next morning. Yeah. And she was just a broken girl, and we just got to love on her and love on the kids and pray with her. And it was just such a powerful time. She was just so glad she'd come. We tried to follow up with her. We don't know what happened with her, but I know what happened with me that day. As I left and I went home, and I was like, if our church could look anything like that, if ministry could look anything like that, I didn't say church, I said I could be on board with that. And
so this is after you had basically been with a guy that was doing a church in the park.
And so it struck something in me. And so I said, I want to begin praying with you. And then that's what he said with the whole prayer intimacy part. We would pray together, but nothing like we have now of just the worship and prayer time.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that began to change. And then
that's for our intimacy with just
that's
this
good.
time with him.
Yeah.
And not, and hearts that desire that, and not just, for ministry or for things in that way, but it's more to align our hearts with what he's doing.
So at this time, you guys were still, or at least one of you was working at one of the schools.
I was working at Martin City at that time.
And then
Martin
he
City
was
Middle,
working
which is part of Grandview.
I was working in Jackson County probation.
Juvenile probation.
As well as being a pastor at Cornelia.
Yeah.
So you were both working in the secular space, which not necessarily, but yeah. So you were working in the Martin City School District, and he was working as a probationary officer. And then, so during this vision statement, then you said something came out of that, right? Or
during that's what out of the prayer, the vision, we did the vision casting together, and because we were going to present that to the elders or the church. Yeah, right, because it was coming up on my time to go back, and we had been talking, and we had lost a pastor during that time too as well. So there was a lot going on.
Oh, wow.
But we prepared that, and that's how he gave us Salt and Light. And we didn't know what we were going to do. Heck, we had a we had a Chevy Blazer, and we just started with that. We'd fill it with something, and we go do outreach, and that's how we started. And
so basically, you just went out and found people that had a need.
Just went out and found people that had a need, and he had put Cloverleaf on our heart. But like I said, we went there in the beginning to start doing that, and they weren't very.
It wasn't as well received by the
management.
So how many apartment does because Cloverleaf is since been closed down, right? Mm-hmm. But recently in the last year or so, it was closed down. But before that, how many apartments did it have? Like 700-800, 700-800.
Oh no, it was only like about 200.
Oh, 265,
something like that.
Yeah. And so anyway, but there was other things that were said about it, like you said, you're receiving from some of your
my students
right?
would tell me, Ms. McCorn, don't even drive through.
Oh, wow.
The kids that lived there would tell us, don't even drive through there. Like people won't
shootings
deliver there.
were random.
It was never on the news. They would have horrible things happening, and you check the news, and it was that common.
And it was KCPD South Patrol. It was just down in an area where. They weren't patrolling because of manpower. They couldn't.
Oh, right. If it's
clear, so you have to go through Grandview to get to it.
To get to it, and so in Grandview was sometimes. So it was like in this area where it was just there was not a lot of, police activity in that area. So there was one way in, one way out. So they just kind of wreaked havoc in there. The enemy, the devil, had a field day.
It was definitely the enemy's territory.
So
but I thought going in, the way my kids who lived there described it, I had such a preconceived idea that we would be rejected. And that was the exact opposite of what happened. Mm-hmm. They were the residents were just so grateful, so thankful for us to be there. They were so supportive of us. It was the residents were just amazing.
And we went in and we thought, we were like securing everything. We were like thinking, okay, well, you got to watch this. We had dinner. We got to watch all this and everything. And it was just crazy. Nobody ever took anything from us.
No. We would even have a misplaced phone or something, and they would all help each other. Yeah. Like, we've got a phone that's not somebody's lost, and they'd find it. Yep.
Nobody ever took anything from us.
That's incredible.
And if anything, they only offered to help with everything.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They were very accommodating, very welcoming.
So at first, though, the administration of the organization was kind of standoffish towards you and didn't want to have anything to do with you,
church,
right?
State kind of,
Right.
So we did it on the front of the complex.
Housing authority rules.
We didn't let it stop us.
They don't allow, one.
So what are some of the things that you did? This is kind of, I'm just trying to so these are some of the ideas that you guys came up with. You said something about you had a Mother's Day thing going there.
Yeah.
We gave out carnations and cards at the entrance because we weren't really supposed to be in. So prayer. Offered prayer and carnations and
flowers and
cards,
and it was overwhelming.
And then what else? What else did you do? I mean, I'm sure you did a lot.
For Father's Day.
Yeah, we cooked out for Father's Day.
Back to school clothing giveaway. Free haircuts.
Free haircuts. This is outrage, man.
Yeah. But the Mother's Day deal was so amazing because she had one lady who literally was banging her head on the steering wheel. She was going. Just
emotional wreck.
She was.
She'd lost her mother.
She was having a
I had to restrain her from beating her head.
Yeah,
she was just so emotionally
overwhelmed with and so then that time you're just holding her and praying for.
But who cares about some of these moms?
And then the other moms,
and
the other moms, they would say this is the only Mother's Day gift I'll get. The state and stuff like that. So we just gave and just loved on people. And you will never. We're not saying that. We're not trying to say as a ministry that hey, do it our way or do this. But I will tell you that when you get out there under the power of the Holy Spirit, when you get out there and see needs of people that won't ever step into a church, when you see the hurting in that way, just as Jesus did, and you see the things that happen, and it's the Holy Spirit that gives you, we don't have the words, we're not, or anything else. But when you see the Lord move like that, that's what just encourages you.
Wow.
The fear goes away, because that's the fear we fight of just, I can't just really talk to anybody.
So you went into this community and you served all the needs that you could serve, and you provided an encouraging, abundant experience for them that they're probably not used to. Like giving out hot dogs, giving out carnations.
Yeah, they couldn't understand why.
They're like, why are you guys just giving stuff away, man? I mean, like, exactly, you're overflowing with stuff.
Yeah.
And,
You guys ever heard of Team Jesus?
Yeah, we work with them.
Okay, I was going to say, if you weren't, I was going to connect you, because he's been on here.
They've been a huge blessing to us.
Yeah. Pastor B.
We love him.
Pastor B.
We love him.
You guys ought to have a block party together.
We have.
I was going to say.
They served with us at Cloverleaf.
They came and spoke at my church, and there was a gal in my church who lives in the Northeast area, and she was concerned about the crime and the drugs in her neighborhood, and Team Jesus, and I was there. Yeah. Team Jesus and I got together, and we did a block party right there in her neighborhood.
We've done
it was amazing.
They came in.
They came
when
in
they were moving everybody out. They came in with us, and they fed everybody.
Oh, wow.
Well, and they came in the first time they came in to one of our outreach events. There was active gunfire happening, and they were like,
it was funny. Oh, we're in the right place.
We're in the right place. And we were like, okay, so they're not leaving. Good. Mm-hmm. All right. Because we've said, we feel as believers we know where we're going to spend eternity.
Right.
So we should be not running from those scenes. We should be running to those scenes, obviously with a mind of safety too, but we should be considering ourselves first responders spiritually, because when there was all the gunfire on that one outreach, 15 minutes into our start, there was some elderly people who had to hit the ground and were shook up. And so, Pastor Brian came and he said, this lady, awesome. She was asking for you to pray with her. She's pretty shook up. And we had music artists there, and they were like, whoa, what have we just signed up for? We're not leaving. We're not
I love how
packing
Team
up.
Jesus brings people in from all over the country.
All over the country.
There'll be a band there from one state. There'll be people that are doing baptisms from another state. And, it's incredible.
It is really neat. Yeah, they've been a huge encouragement to us.
All right. So basically, then since then, I think Cloverleaf has closed, but also you guys are also going through a change yourself, because you're both. Well, at the time, which what we refer to as, you were working at Martin City, and then he was working for probation office. But then at one point, you both were working for Martin
what
City.
Happened was, during that time, as we were, going and doing the ministry, we had been praying about, the opportunity. It was just kind of more and more, what do you want from us? And so on my job, things kind of got a little I won't say uncomfortable. They just started to make a lot of changes and everything. And so I was praying, and I talked to her. I was like, hey, I'm praying about this, and there's some changes going on, but I'm not trying to get out of it, because I want to know what the Lord is doing. If I need to, walk through it, go through it, and to understand it. And, but this is what could be down the road. And she was like, oh, okay, well. And then later she said, hey, well, there's a position open at my job, if you want to look into that. And I said, I talked to a friend. I said, well, hey, here's what the Lord is doing. He said, well, apply. He said, apply and see what the Lord does. If that's it, that's where he wants you to go, then he'll let you know. So I was like, well, okay. So I applied. I applied, and I interviewed. And
he was way overqualified.
Way over.
He was applying for.
We're talking about the Martin City.
Martin City school. But I went and interviewed, and Miss Harris, a wonderful lady, she was like, hired me on the she's like going through everything. She says, look, when can you start? I said, I said probably 2 weeks or whatever. But anyway, so I ended up 2 weeks later leaving my job at Jackson County and going there, started there, and which was awesome because it was doing the same thing I was doing, obviously, with behavior and ISS and all that there. I went through doing the same thing with juveniles, but without the paperwork and the court appearances. So, I was happy.
I used to work under Sheriff Forte when he was chief of KCPD.
Yeah, we know. But one thing that was neat about that position, it was the in-school suspension room. And at that time, we had just launched with Cloverleaf. And realistically, I mean, 90% of what was in school suspension was our Cloverleaf kids. Yeah. And I said, wow, this will be great if we're doing ministry in Cloverleaf. Yeah. And you get to spend all day with them when they've made bad choices. How wonderful would that be? And what was neat is over the years of being in there, it was extremely rare for a Cloverleaf kid to get put in school suspension. Oh, wow. And what was neat is once the ministry truly launched with the kids program and things like that on Wednesday nights, which basically consists of just feeding hot dogs and games and a Bible lesson. What was really neat about that is we saw the incidents with our Cloverleaf kids at the school, which used to have fights almost on a daily on the bus, go to 0 fights at all. Wow. And so it was really neat to see that program where the point the school was saying, well, what are you going to do with the kids in the winter? You can use our gym. You could do whatever how can we help you continue this program? And so what was neat is then we didn't know what we were going to do in the winter because everything we do is outside. So then we heard about the PAL program and were able to get the kids to the PAL program. And then
what's the PAL program again?
The Police Athletic League. So they pretty much do like exactly what we were doing, but with a life lesson, not a spiritual lesson. But we have a whole ride there and a whole ride back to do our spiritual lesson. So God bless us with a shuttle bus, and we outgrew that. It was 19 passengers in the back. We outgrew that. We got a full
ministry
school
truck
bus
to do ministry, and then we got a shuttle bus to shuttle them. But the neat thing about that Police Athletic League was that the South Patrol officers were the officers that patrolled their area. So they built relationships with the kids, officers that they would see on out there. So and when they closed, it was so neat to see that the parents, because the parents were angry, there was stuff going on. The officers,
they were given 48 hours to get out.
So the officers were there, and the officers were the kids were hugging the officers. So it calmed the parents down in that situation because it got pretty heated. But when they were seeing the officers interact and the kids hugging them, all just because of being there and them spending time with them.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I guess the goal is basically to get kids to have a relationship with an officer versus running away from them. It's like, hey, I'm not here to, right. In general, that's the way it's supposed to work. There's exceptions, but on both sides. But
exactly. That's why, that's a neat program for them.
Such a good thing. So really cool. But all right. So then recently, though, you guys are. So you were at Cloverleaf, and then Cloverleaf shut down, right?
Yeah, in February.
So that meant the end of the ministry, right?
That meant the Lord had been working on our hearts because we had been considering expanding. We were going to adopt some other programs around. We didn't know how that was going to look or what the manpower kind of thing, different things. And so we just kind of kept doing what we were doing and then praying about it. But as we were moving along with it, we said, hey, it'd be nice to maybe do this over here or whatever.
Can I share about my quiet times?
Huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Quiet
so times. I told him on our way to school, in the 24-25 school year, I'd said, I don't know why. I'd even journaled about it.
Yeah.
I don't know why God keeps messing with me, asking, would you go full time in this ministry? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I do not want to do. And then I was like, God, that's a dumb idea. Cloverleaf is at our school. Like, this is a perfect win-win. We do ministry. We were with them all day long.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. Why would we do that? Like, that would be terrible to like leave them, this has been so positive. Plus, God, we don't have finances to sustain us going full time. That would be craziness.
Yeah.
That would make, so I'm writing all of that. And
don't you love that you can, I always tell people, communicate clearly with the Lord exactly how you feel. God, this would be crazy.
Yes, I literally was writing that. And I told him, I'm like, why would we do that? That's dumb. Right. And so that day they were given 48 hours. By the time we got the last of the residents moved in on that Friday night, that was on a Wednesday. And by Friday night, Team Jesus had come out and helped us get those last residents in, and we sat there and talked with them for a while. And I was talking, and one of them said, "I think you know what God is telling you to do." And I was like, "No, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that."
My friend that I told you about that's in the dry cleaning business, one of his famous sayings that I often quote: "If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan."
Yes.
Yeah,
that's it.
And then my response to that is, I was born in 1969, and God hasn't stopped laughing since.
Yeah. So I went home. I had been fasting and everything for the residents in that whole situation, and then that Sunday, God just wrecked me and said, "Now do you know why I've been asking you, would you go full time? By the end of this school year, Cloverleaf won't be at your school anymore." Our school was going to allow the kids to, be bused from the apartment or from the hotels to finish out the school year. And so he said, "But at the end of the school year, you don't have that excuse anymore." And I'm like, "God, we can't afford it. We can't, we don't have the finances for that. We don't have any church or mission organization or anything. I don't want to do that anyway."
This is just like God too.
Yeah.
He takes apart what you built. So that
you ain't kidding.
So that he can do something new.
Well, I'm sitting in the living room that we had just completely gutted and remodeled. When you just said built, we had just remodeled it for ourselves to grow old in. We'd widen the doors for our own wheelchair someday. We'd put in a shower that we could get in with a wheelchair. All that, was our plan. And God was like, I was like, "We can't afford it." And God said, "Sell your home." And I'm like, "Sell our home?" Like, no, I love my home. I plan to die here.
I did a whole studio down in the
you had a music studio. You just finished.
And then when I finished it, I just sat there, I opened my Bible, and I just committed to Him. I said, "Well, Lord, whatever you want to do with it."
God said, "Thank you, I'll take it."
Yeah,
sometimes He has to break us down to build us back up.
And that was it. But the neat thing about that, she came to that point. I had already been through that twice. I left the military.
Left your careers.
Left my career.
Premature.
And then, left my career
he didn't
with probation.
Retire in the military.
There. So I'd already, made that.
It was like one of us has to at least have a retirement. Like, you've already thrown away 2 retirements for Jesus.
Right.
Well,
one of us has to be like the sane one and have a retirement.
So she was so when it wrecked her, I was like, okay, that's what I was going through too. So, but anyway, we prayed about that, and
when I told him, he said, "I think we both need to start fasting and praying over this, because that's a lot. That's like both of us leaving our jobs, selling our home. We need to start fasting and praying."
Yeah. And
so he was like, "What do you think?" In a couple of years, I was like,
I wrote down. I don't know how many times I wrote Wild West down here on my sheet of paper. I mean, what I mean by that is like we've got some type of Wild West Christianity going on here. Yeah. Anyway, but I'm just saying what I'm saying by that is like if you hadn't gone along with the Lord this far already, you never would have been ready for these suggestions from Him. You'd have been like, "I don't know who you are, God, you're out."
And the other side of that too is that when your prayer, if you're praying for that, He's going to open those doors. He's going to give it to you. In other words, you're praying for more opportunities to to glorify Him, to serve Him in that way. And you don't know what it is, but if we're doing an Isaiah, then he's gonna test you.
Who'll go for us, and who shall I send? And Isaiah said, "Here am I, Lord."
That's it.
So, and that's one of my philosophies on ministry.
Yeah. Right.
When God calls, you don't bat an eye.
That's it.
You respond just like He did.
That's it.
And I'm a huge movie fan. I even have a podcast about classic movies and TV. And Star Trek V, they were on this planet and they're dealing with this entity that claimed to be God but really wasn't. And then when he said, I will, your starship, I'll use it to take my wisdom beyond the Great Barrier. And when Captain Kirk started questioning, and he says, "Excuse me, what does God need with a starship?" And Dr. McCoy thought this really was God, so he grabs Captain Kirk by the shoulders and says, "Jim, you don't ask the Almighty for His ID." Well, when our real God and Savior calls, you don't ask the Almighty for His ID. You say, "Here am I, Lord. Here am I."
That's it.
The '89 Batman movie, Michael Keaton and Kim Basinger. She finds out he's Batman. Alfred lets her into the Batcave. She looks around and she's like, "Why you? Why this? Why now?" And he goes, "Sometimes I don't understand it." But him speaking of Jack Nicholson's character, the Joker, he's out there tearing up goblins. But he goes, "But he's out there right now. And I have to go to work." Well, for us, it's the community, it's the church, it's our city, county, state, nation, world that needs servants. Yeah. They're out there right now. Yeah. And we have to go to work.
And we don't have to, I always think, we're not gifted. Like, we're not good at what we do. Like, we're just not, like, the best of the best. Like, we're not gifted speakers.
Yeah.
We're we're not good at this. It's just, He wants a willing heart.
Yeah.
He can take our failures and our inadequacies and make them a blessing somehow, some way.
Yes.
But it's like He just wants our yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you say yes? Did you say yes to the Lord?
Yes. After a few weeks of fasting, it was like, okay, we're really doing this.
So you sold the house? Did you sell the house?
Well, we put it on the market, and look
That's
at this.
Another crazy
We put
story.
it on the market, and then we were like, okay, so it was going along.
We were so busy getting everything ready. We hadn't been doing.
We had
ministry.
like maybe one showing or something, showing, something like that.
We had a couple showings.
And then it was like, okay, well, we were like, we need to just go out. We need to get back out, kind of get back to doing what we were doing.
Let's just do a street outreach.
So we went to do it, and during that time, I think because we were getting a call about we had a showing. There was 2 scheduled. The last showing,
but it had been a storm that day, and so we'd even can I interject? Sorry, we had even had to delay our street outreach, and I was like, we have been all about us and trying to get this house ready and sell. I don't care if we do this street outreach tonight. Like, all our hours kept getting bumped back as we were just waiting. So we even went home. I said, let's go home, make sure we stage the house so that we don't have to come back. Our time kept getting delayed. So we staged the home. We turned the little nice mood lamps on, that mood music and everything. And got it all set and ready. And then our son had called.
Yeah.
And he said, Mom, he goes, it's like 15 minutes before the first showing and the power's out in the house. The storm blew out the power.
And so the house is dark.
I was like, I don't care. I called our
outside.
realtor. I'm like, hey, just let them know the power's out in the house. I don't care. They can come through. Now we're actually doing the street. Now the rain had stopped, so we were doing street outreach. Yeah. And so...
Again, you abandoned normal, and you're out there on the street.
Yes. So then we get a call, and we're praying with a couple out there on the street. And my phone is blowing up. I'm trying to turn it off, right? And then finally I call the realtor back. I was like, they're probably just having trouble because it's in the dark. Mm-hmm. And he said, you're not going to believe this. He said, your house just sold in the dark. They want to offer you full asking price. No closing, no inspection necessary. Yeah. Like, the whole sweet deal you could ask for. In the dark. Like God said, you're salt and what? Light. I'm the light. I don't need your cute little attempts of selling. If I want it, I'm telling you, like, if I'm going to show you this is my plan, I'll sell your house in the dark.
Wow.
Watch me sell this house.
For the asking price, no inspection.
No inspection needed.
No closing costs.
No
wow.
closing, everything.
It was crazy.
It was crazy So it was just wild.
Yeah. And then how he provided after. So it's for us, it's been that journey of, again, seeking him. It's not always easy. I'm going to sit here and say that it's easy. But it's a what do you say? It's a feeling each day to decide. We get in our own ways and try to follow our own ways, and he continues to show us why he has us here, why he has us here doing this.
So anyway, so how are you currently living? That's
we did. We sold our house. We bought a fifth wheel.
Oh, wow.
We bought a fifth wheel. We bought it just actually before we sold it. We bought it because we said, hey, we're just going to move our stuff, move out. And so we moved in it. And
so this was, how long ago was this?
This was a year ago.
About a year ago.
Wow. The toughest part of that isn't shrinking from a very large home to a fifth wheel. The toughest part of that was
bedroom house to
it was a fight. We raised our kids all in there, but the biggest thing is it was our base of operations for our ministry, and we hadn't taken that into consideration. Like, our garage was amazing.
Yeah.
So right now that's been the biggest struggle of a juggle is we can't park our 3 ministry vehicles and everything that we have in storage. So we have storage here, it's just like everywhere. So everything is, it's definitely been that.
And you guys are still in the juggle right now.
Yeah, right? We're still seeking a base of operations.
So I've seen a location that you guys have been interested in online.
Yes,
okay.
It did sell.
Okay, I didn't know.
So.
There's a church there in Grandview, right there on the corner of Grandview Road. And,
we just need $600,000.
Oh wow!
So
okay.
we would love it.
I didn't know the price on it, but I knew it was for sale.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So God blessed us with ministry vehicles, and that's been huge, but we're as of yet to get that.
Well, it's coming.
Here's the whole base of operations, but in his time.
All right. So anyway, but since you've left Cloverleaf, though, you guys have engaged with so Cloverleaf shut the door shut on
down,
that.
Yes.
But that basically is kind of like, the Lord kind of does this. Basically, everybody all groups together in this big thing happening, whether it's, an evil thing like Babylon, or it's a church thing like a big church. And then what he'll do is he'll just break it open, so that it spreads all over the place. So you guys have gone from Cloverleaf to I think,
out, and the fact of that,
what are the locations that you guys are in?
Cloverleaf closed. Then he put it on our hearts to go full time in ministry.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. So it was a transition from there. And then during that transition was, here we'll start this, again, the CAP program kind of birthed out of that. And we said, well, we're going to...
CAP is Community Adoption Program.
Oh, the
so we have looked at, and we still have them there on the radar. We have looked at 3 properties. So, our goal is we're in the first phase with Hudson Point, and then we're going to adopt another complex. The goal is to have 3 complexes working, during the week. So
you're basically are serving in them just like you were doing with Cloverleaf, right?
Yes, but some of those communities could be like we're not fully on the same page because I'm like, that's really overzealous. But we look at some of the communities being the high school community. Yeah. Like we're in Grandview High School. We would like to this year establish a connection with Ruskin High School. We are connected with Hickman Mills Middle, and we would and we've been invited now for this year to be at Grandview Middle. So some of those community adoptions would be like school adoption. But as far as neighborhood communities, we've got a few different options on our prayer list of that we were just praying about.
So so I have down here as your main operating campuses, basically, or operating sites are parks, campuses, schools, and then you do street ministry, right?
Yeah,
so they kind of, and there's
community.
It seems like there tends to be quite a bit of overlap a lot of times. Like you're on the streets of the apartments of the part, that your area you're in. So you kind of like nest and get into the area.
Yeah. So we really look at that whole South KC Grandview area is our focus point.
And you're serving them with, like you said, hot dogs.
Yes. We try to
telling people about Jesus, Bible groups. What are you doing in the one of the schools right now? You said something about apologetics.
Yeah. So that's the 12+ program.
Yeah, 12+ students.
So the fact that you're even doing this though is crazy. Right?
Yeah,
we've gotten in there.
We partner with another couple that has planted a church in Grandview, 12+ KC. And with them, they have gotten the doors opened at Grandview High School. Pastor Jay and Esther.
Okay.
And they so we basically go in once a month for all 4 lunch shifts and do offer prayer with the kids. They'll do Bible drills, learning how to use the Bible right there at our table at lunch. And we do apologetics questions, like, if God
is good, in Grandview High School. This is
in Grandview High School. And then we do every week there a Friday after school ministry. And so we're hoping to be able to get into Ruskin to be able to do that same thing. Maybe, that he can talk with the principal at Grandview and let, they can maybe see how that's gone over the last, we just started that in February of 2026. So if we can get into Ruskin, we would like to maybe do Thursday afternoons at Ruskin and then maybe, once a month there for lunches if they are open to that.
Crazy.
Yep.
And then Grandview Middle has asked us to come to their lunches do that. And so, and we've been doing the incentive things at Hickman Mills Middle.
Yeah.
So helping partner, community partner with them, help them with their Christmas.
So you're just really serving in these, Hudson, the apartment communities that you're currently serving, Hudson Point, Hickman Mills, something.
No. So the only apartment complex we're in right now is Hudson Point. So that's what we're looking at. We've got about 4 that we've considered.
Oh, there's 4 of them that
we're just praying over.
And then you did say something in our pre-interview, some of these apartments, the Depot apartments. There was something that happened recently.
Yeah, they've had 4 murders in 2 weeks of teenagers.
Okay, so this is what the type of thing this is the type of area or environment that you move into is a high needs, high risk. High risk. You're coming in with a whole right. But what I'm saying is deep impact. You're there for deep impact. So create relationships, change lives, and that's what you're there for. And like you said, you don't want to be a pastor's wife, but you guys are now pastoring communities.
It's a whole different look.
You are a pastor yourself. I'm sure some people have called you, Pastor so-and-so, Pastor so-and-so. Probably
so
you too.
Are you guys just living off the money from selling the house, or where's your
it started that way. It started that way. We got support. We went to our board in doing this, and they supported us and just said that we could use part of the income, not a lot.
We have. I think what he means by so we don't have a church or mission organization supporting us yet. So we have a handful of faithful supporters, and it has provided enough. We don't live a lot. He does lawn care also, so we do have some income off of that. So he was doing lawns even just this morning. So that's helped to have some of that as a little bit of an income. But yeah, I mean We've never had a need. We have never had a need. God has provided.
God's providing
by literally just a group of just a handful of random people here and there. So bless the ministry.
So if you had a way of just saying, kind of the things that you're hoping for right now in your immediate, it seems like the opportunities to serve are abounding right now.
Yes.
So what do you need? What are the things that you guys need in order for you to be able to more aptly handle the opportunities that are coming your way? So donations. Do you need a location to base out of?
Base of operations. Base of operations. Support.
Because you could get a church given to you, and you could live in the church on the upstairs. But obviously that's just
if he chooses to do that, we do.
Well, and let me ask you this: I mean, I know you guys are working out of South Kansas City, and I'm sure your ideal base of operations would be in South Kansas City. Mm-hmm. I'm part of a church that is part of two churches that merged in the fall of 2019. The former building that my church that I was part of, that's literally just down the street from where we're at now, is for sale. Wow. It's not an actual church. It was a bank building. It's been a Salvation Army facility for at one point. Wow. But anyway, it's up for sale. Several churches have already launched out of that location.
Really?
We've had several churches launch. They'll start in our basement at our church, and then they'll go to that. They've gone to that facility, and then further, launch into something else, from there. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you'd be opposed to north of the river, but.
Yeah, anyway, it might be a little far out right now. But anyway, that's the type of thing that that would be serving to them. Awesome. So anyway, but what are the needs though that you guys have?
And workers, tonight we might just have 3 of us.
Huge
so
thing
we need workers.
We're praying for you could say outside of one thing is we'd love to partner. We love partnering with ministries, but we love to see anyone who has a desire or the Lord is moving them to possibly get into something like this. We'd love to come alongside and we'd love to see more taking the step to be a part of something like this. And it's not to say that, hey, again, that you have to do it. If you're not doing outreach this way, or if you're not doing this way, it's not about that. It's about giving the Lord your heart and then seeing what he does with you. Mm-hmm. And whether that's, right there on your job, or if it's maybe in your neighborhood, your neighbor, starting in anywhere, any phase of that.
Yeah.
We'd love to partner with
because there's so many communities. Like I said, we're praying over 4. We can't adopt them all, but they have great need. We've had residents asking us to come to their community and adopt their community because they've seen what has happened. However, one way or another, they've seen what has happened with Cloverleaf and what we were doing there, and they're like, "Can you adopt this community? Can you?" And I'm like, "We can't adopt them all, but we would love to encourage other people to do that."
So that's one big,
and it doesn't take a lot.
Then, then inside of that is, the operations of, as providing a place of operation, support from anyone who desires. That's prayer first. If it's monetary, that's welcome. But we need prayer warriors, people praying for, because the enemy in these communities, the enemy is wreaking havoc with the family structure. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. Yeah. You begin to infiltrate the family with the word of God, or getting the father or even the mother in that way, desiring relationship and change with Christ. Then that whole dynamic changes, that whole, influence of just, we've seen it with this ministry, or just the way. And what's amazing, man, is the moms that, the moms and their kids. I mean, like this mom allowing her son to come with us and serve. Yeah. She's been behind it. And then there's others that have been behind, just and even praying for us, even saying, "Hey, we're praying for you." They've seen us in their community and being a part of things, and so that's really taken on a whole different, dynamic.
So just partner people that or people that are interested in serving with you, or
they want to serve,
or someone that has the resources to maybe kind of help get your base off the ground, or base structure.
All their needs in every area.
And finances are a need. We do food every time we're out, and we probably shouldn't have started doing pizza, but pizzas ain't cheap at the high schools, but they love it. So, I mean, financial support is huge, especially if we do increase by schools. Yeah. We've got to increase in the financial giving. But the other thing is, if we have a great heart's desire to adopt more communities, but in the situation we're in now, without having a base of operations, there's a lot of going here. Oop, forgot that there. We got to go back to this because everything's kind of scattered. To operate well, we are looking for a local base that would be close to, our areas of reach, that we could park all 3 of our,
ministry because
buses
they're in different places.
Yeah, they're all scattered too. Our vehicle. Oh, we got the shuttle bus here, big bus there.
So we were blessed, and we can tell the story. We're not going all that. There's no time, but we were blessed with 3 ministry vehicles, a utility truck that we use that holds our tables or all our stuff, so we can pull up on site, pull everything out. We got tents, we
benches
got everything.
that can seat 60 people.
So we can do all that. We were blessed with a 21 passenger shuttle bus.
Oh wow!
That's during the time we were taking these kids, and then we outgrew that bus, and the Lord, somebody stepped up and provided us with a 71 passenger school bus. so and I just to tell you these stories. How they happened, because the bus we went on, crazy. I went on that bus and I was like, oh Lord, I was like, do we really need this? I mean, it was this, it was too, because it was a really nice bus, and 23 hours he answered that question. 23 hours. The next day we got a call from somebody who said, we're going to get that bus for you. But, and that was the Lord telling me, doubt me again, because I was like,
you trusted me this far, yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that.
You're kind of a little bit too far out on the limb now not to trust God. Right.
Because our office there on Grandview Road, we sure
you're beyond
student services.
That's it. So it's just been that kind of that journey with him. He's faithful. He will do it. If you step out, you step out, whatever it is, if you step out and trust him, man, he's there. I was just reading in Joshua, when they were there at Jordan, when he parted the Jordan, it's this time he did the Red Sea, then they're in Jordan. It's like, hey, consecrate yourself. The Lord's getting ready to do this, but it's like, the hearts, man, and preparing for that. It's like, man, the Lord, he parted and made a way for him in that. In the same way, he'll make a way for, if you desire him and follow him, he will make a way for whatever it is.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
All right, so people want to look you up. They find you on Facebook, right? They can find you on Facebook.
Yeah, Salt and Light Ministries KC.
Yep. And then also you also have a website, right?
saltandlightkc.com.
Yeah, and it's
that's salt and then the letter N.
Because otherwise you get a home improvement company. I'm like, really? They took our
salt in light.
Yes, some home improvement thing took, because there wasn't there, so they got to be new. But yes, people are like, how come I got a home improvement site? But they are Salt and Light. So we are salt in.
You mean N as in
the letter N.
Salt in
light. KC.
All right. Anyway,
and that's our website. Our email.
We'll make sure we put that on there.
And at one point, you guys said you were teasing. We called salt and pepper, right?
Yeah.
Right. We were salt and pepper, so we were joking. We
couldn't find
God didn't have pepper in the Bible.
Yeah,
what?
Yeah, we did.
So there was lots of talk about spices in the Bible.
Salt and paprika.
Yeah, there you go.
You couldn't say you got to be salt and pepper to the world.
So you end up being Salt and Light.
Salt and Light. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yep. So anyway,
everybody's starting to call us now. We gotta wind this show down. Anyway.
Amen.
So, but anyway, I'll make sure to include.
This isn't a live call-in show, folks. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so we gotta wind it down anyway. So but we'll make sure to include the website on the show notes, and
thank you.
And then looking forward, I'll track you down one of these days when you're out in public, and I'll capture you guys with some stuff like that.
That would be awesome.
Keep promoting what you're doing.
We'd love to have you.
And we pray for the resources and the equipment and the people to come in and assist the work, because it's great. There's a great work that needs to be done, but the workers are few. But we pray for that in Jesus' name.
The harvest is plentiful,
Amen.
But the workers are few.